The New York Red Bulls lost to the Philadelphia Union in penalty kicks Tuesday night in the League's Cup round of 16. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping count, but that's 11 matches unbeaten for the Union against the Red Bulls. But before we even get into all that, let's recap the match with Mike Barrera, who's a co-host of the Across the Pitch podcast on the NYP Sports network. Mike, I see you leaning back in the chair. We had a lot of storylines coming out of this match. We had some trash talk, and obviously it went down to the wire with PKs. But before we even get into the trash talking, what were your thoughts on last night's match, and who were your standouts?
I mean, listen, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. But you think a typical Union Red Bull match is going to get ugly, a lot of fighting, a lot of words going across the between the two teams. I thought Amaya played well for the Red Bull. I thought Coronel had a couple big saves to keep the Union off the board a few times in that match. But honestly, when it comes down to the outcome, you really can't ask for a better script, right? You want to go PKs with your biggest rival. And, the Union might have pulled it off, but I definitely think the Red Bull could have gotten at least 2 goals early on. And I think the Union might have gotten lucky, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but I do think a little luck went their way.
All right. There's nothing wrong with luck, especially when you're on the right side of luck. And thank you for that recap. But now let's get to the trash talk. Union head coach Jim Curtin had some words for Red Bull players after the match, and he called them the little brother and said that they get beat up a lot. So you think Coach crossed the line with these comments, or you think these comments are justified?
I mean, listen, I look at it as a fan and as a reporter, right? As a fan, I love it. I love the Union. I want to see my coach stand up for his players and really trash talk, which is what the Philadelphia players love to do, and the Philadelphia fans, as you guys all know, love to do as well. But in terms of bulletin board material, I mean, Curtin mentioned that. He said this is probably going to go on their bulletin board, right? It's going to be talked about in the clubhouse, I'm sure, before they come back to Chester in September. So do I love it as a fan? Absolutely. Do I love it for the rivalry? Of course I do. But in terms of keeping things, tame for your opponent when they come to Chester, I'd rather him maybe taking the high road a bit there. Again, especially because the formation he put out early on wasn't exactly the best. I thought they got a bit fortunate last night, and it's easy to trash talk when you win, so I'll just leave it as that.
Look, I like the Red Bulls, but if you haven't beaten me in 11 matches, I'm talking all the trash I want. It's one of those, come beat me if you want me to shut up. But September 3rd, I believe, is the next time these two see each other. I got that one circled on my Google Calendar.
I think the whole team does at this point.
Have to. All right, So Philly's moving on to the quarterfinals against Liga MX side Querétaro on Friday night. So what are your keys to the match for Philly to keep the momentum going and to advance?
Sounds cliche, but keep it simple. Get back to the basics. The Union went with a whole new formation and lineup on yesterday evening. They put Flock in the lineup. They had Gazdag up top rather than Ua. It looked uncomfortable, which is why the Rebels scored so quickly. Against Querétaro, though, they had a more simple 3-in-the-back formation. They just took it to that team from the minute that game kicked off to the end. So if you want to play them again for a second time at home, get back to what worked. Make them beat you in however way they can, but don't change things up or get too cute or creative with it. Do what works, and right now the Union have shown what works, so get back to that.
Yeah, that goes down Friday at 8 p.m. Thank God it's on the weekend for 8 p.m., not a Tuesday or a weekday game. Hey, Mike, if Philly keeps moving on, man, I'm gonna hit you up, get you back on. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And again, hit me up anytime you're down in Chester.
For sure.